Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, welcome to round 3 of the EG Evolved RaceFace.Pro GT3 Championship here at the beautiful circuit of Hungaroring, as our drivers look to try and take away every single point around this absolutely magnificent circuit out in Hungary, Pest country. And it was opened in the 24th of March 1986. 39 years ago, the circuit went and opened its doors for some incredible racing, from the highs and lows of Senna versus Prost all the way into our GT current championships, where it was neck and neck for the SRO championship last year that was settled around this 14-turn, 4.3 kilometer circuit. Grade 1 circuit of note, as our drivers make their way around for qualifying and starting to put in their times here for tonight, hoping to make a big impact in the race and hoping that they can stand above all. However, it is going to be a tough one for all our drivers out there to really lay down the markers. Everyone's got the pressure to do incredibly well. First across the line is Daniel de Villiers, as he is one of the drivers that has got quite a bit of pressure on top of him today, as he is tied for points for second place. And it's going to be a tough one because he's got Bago Krobler from Team Wolf that currently holds second place, both on 81 points. Christoph Peterson leads out on 104 points. Jason Farmer in fourth place on 64 points. And Henry Platt holds on to fifth place on 55 points. Taking a look at our Pro-Am, Martin Rotenbach leads on 93 points. Herman Whitner in second place on 87 points. And Gavin Scruton sits with 65 points. 1 point off Anton Lummers in fourth place. And Sean Herrera on 61 points. So all the drivers trying to see what they can do. Christoph Peterson looking to take another victory here tonight. He's going to work incredibly hard in doing so. Taking a look over to our virtual grandstands. As we look around the circuit, we have got Adam Bowen and Derek Beckham going and saying, how's it? Good to have you guys here. Kieran Patterson putting himself up into second place. Now, Kieran hasn't had the easiest of drives on his return to RaceFace.Pro, but now looking to really make it work around a circuit that in past has done really well for him. Daniel de Villiers, his teammate, holds on to third, with Jeffrey LaRue in fourth place. Martin Rotenbach leads out our Pro-Am field and currently sits in the top 5. He's got Herman Whitner holding on to second place of the Pro-Am field, and sixth with Sean Loureiro chasing down third of the Pro-Ams. Keegan Bowen in 8th position, Chris Biermeister and Gerald Pretorius rounding out our top 10 as it stands. A couple of drivers. Mike Yakunadia hasn't got a time on the board as he fishtails through the corners. Jason Farmer yet to put a time on board. Bago Krobler, who holds for second place, needs to really figure out what he can do to nail it around the circuit. Jackie Alberts, Volkers Minion looking to really get a little bit more of a climb. Henry Platt, Savesh Basson sitting in pit lane, and Christian Zetzman out waiting to get a good time on the board. But so far, Christoph Peterson leads out, puts another good time on the board, a 142.5 this time around, as he pulls a little bit more of a gap to the likes of Kieran Patterson, who hasn't been able to find his step as yet. Daniel de Villiers trying to pick up some time, and here's Jeffrey LaRue for the Griffin Sim Racing team up into fifth place, as Bago Krobler managing to lock in that third place. Daniel de Villiers down into fourth, Jeffrey LaRue down into fifth. Martin Rotenbach got a little bit of space between himself and the likes of Henny Porchita. We've got Henry Platt holding on to that 7th position. Henny Porchita goes and holds on to 8th. Chris Biermeister and Jared McComb out there in the top 10 for Team Wolf. Herman Whitner going to be going and getting a little bit cross as he's right off the mark from Martin Rotenbach, and he's fighting for the championship. So scoring here in the qualifying means that you're a bit closer to go for the attack. However, they do have an hour, 20 minutes of racing to come with 2 mandatory pit stops, but on a circuit that is quite long, 4.3 kilometers, and very, very difficult to overtake. Our drivers are going to be wanting to utilize every little bit they can. Devin Tooten all the way down for Team Try Hard Racing as he leaves pit lane. Now looking to generate some heat into the tires and wanting to get a hot lap in for him. to ensure he stays up through the field. Jason Farmer going and sitting a little bit out of mark, and a couple of drivers out there. A driver that has been featured here on RaceFace.Pro. We've got Marius Ebers going and cheering on the Racing Snails from the sidelines. Good to see him out there. Retired at the moment out of sim racing, but it's good to see him still putting in the support for the Racing Snails team and putting in some great times here. We got Antonio Gamble as well, always with Grow Griffin Sim Racing, and go Jason Farmer, my boy, as the usual saying goes along. Kieran Patterson comes across the line, a 1:43.047 for his lap time, personal best, quite off the mark to our current leader. Martin Rotenbach still holds on to that third place. Chris Biermeister holds on, currently 0.1 up on his time. Herman Whipner 0.1 up on his time. Jared Bakum as well. So there's a various amounts of drivers looking to ensure they stay up in the running. Benjamin Till 0.1 up. Alan Patterson will be blasting his way through. He's been having a good run in the Pro Division. He's up into 13th now. He's wanting to get into that top 10. Conrad Martin, after quite a race last night in LMU, where it was nose to tail fighting for third, is now looking to see if he can carry that bit of momentum he had from the likes of LMU across to ACC here tonight. He's 0.1 up on his time. He will come across, jumping to 14th with a 1:44.125. Great run for him. Benjamin Till, on the other hand, throws that Lamborghini into the dirt and around, and stops beautifully before the barrier, but unfortunately not going to have an easy time out there. Gerald Pretorius a little bit further down from where he would like to be, 0.3 up on his time out there in the Mustang as he gets on the power, slings it across, final corner. It's going to be a good time for him, but hoping to get into the top 10. Doesn't want to be too far down in the points here for qualifying, and will come across the line, 0.3 up into 15th. 5 positions gained for him at the moment. Jeffrey LaRue with 5 minutes remaining, 0.1 up on his time as they try and keep up the momentum. Gerald Pretorius also 0.1 up. Riley Henning out there in the Mille Frey Racing, the Red Bull Verstappen colours on that Ferrari 296, hoping to really keep up that momentum needed to try and get up into the top 10. Goes in through the chicane, in through the right, quick to the left, on the power the whole way through, giving it everything he's got into the long left-hander, snaps that rear, trying to keep as much traction as possible, and hoping that this is going to be a good time for him. It is starting to look really good. Up 0.5 on his personal best. At 1:44.7 was his best lap time he set on last lap, and unfortunately invalidated on the way through, going a little too far, and going to be going and knocking his head up against a tree on that one. Another driver we've got out is Thriller Miller himself, Darren Miller, going and saying unfortunately he's not going to be going around at the moment, but he is cheering for the PWSR team. Kenny Porchita, 0.2 up on his time for the Racing Snails, and up into 14th. Did a stellar drive to get himself there, as Conrad Martin 0.1 up on his time. Ludwig Zetzman out there in the Team Tryhard colours, looking to keep ahead of his own brother and hoping that he can stay in for the run. Christian Zetzman will be looking to try and close that distance in the Pro-Am class. Ludwig, unfortunately, not having a good run, will drop down. Anton Lummers gets a better time of a 1:44.3 for the Treehouse Works Racing. Gavin Scruton trying to get that little bit further up and sinks it a little bit deep into the corner. That's going to cost him time. He was 0.3 up, but unfortunately going down the order now. Jaco Dindier currently 0.8 up on his time to see if he can make it work. Back up towards our top. Begor Krobler holds on to third. Daniel De Villiers looking to try and make up as much time as possible. He's got Martin Rotenbach, first of our Pro-Am, sitting within that top 5. Graham van der Raced, also great times from him. He's able to sit into 6th position. Henry Platt a little bit further down. He's got Herman Whitner, Jeffrey LaRue on with Sean Larrero, Chris Biermeister in that 11th spot at the moment. But Graham van der Raced has shown that the Krummendulis racing machine, this Mercedes, he's able to really keep up the power, see where he can make it work for him, and has had a good run in previous seasons. Now he's trying to see if he can make it work a little bit now. A 1:43.5 was his time, and with Christoph Peterson still unbeaten with that 1:42.5, Kieran Patterson got close of a 1:43.0, trying to make it work out in his favor. De Villiers also 0.3 up on his time, hoping to get into the fight for the front row. In and out through the corners they go, absolutely blasting. Where will they end is going to be the question. It's going to be hard onto the anchors. A quick swing in to try and get Bego Krobler to work in his favor here. Wants to get into second place, and with a 1:43.3 on his last lap, if he can keep this momentum with a 1:43 point, well, he's sitting with a 0.3, just been beaten out by De Villiers, but can he get the jump back up into third, possibly second place? Comes around the corner, gets it absolutely on the gas, and he's up into the front row. Bego Krobler puts himself onto the front row to go and start next to Christoph Peterson, who is up in all sectors. He is trying to go a little bit faster and see if he can break that 1:42.5 into a 1:42 dead. He's got a little bit of traffic ahead of him, and they have to take that into account. Krobler 0.1 up. Peterson, likes of Patterson, is 0.1 up. Herman Wepner a little bit further down, 0.2 up. Jeffrey LaRue currently 0.2 up as well. As the drivers give it their absolute all, trying to figure out what's going to work for them. LaRue looking to sink it in, late under the braking, tries to get his power down early as possible, swings out a little bit wide, loses a little bit of time, and now just trying to keep it all in check as he hopes to get ahead of Henry Platt. But it is going to be Christoph Peterson looking to be faster than a 1:42.5. Can he make it as he boots it across the line? A 1:42.527, unable to improve, but Kieran Patterson fires back, gets himself in second place. Bego Krobler down into third. We'll be looking at Daniel De Villiers starting with him on the second row. De Villiers not wanting to hang back at the moment as we are into our finals, last seconds of qualifying. Scruton currently 0.3 up. Graham Kelly currently 0.1 up as he enters the final corner, absolutely pushing as hard as he can as the Ravenous Racing, just gets out of shape on the exit. Unfortunately, that's going to kill off some time. Gavin Scruton hoping to make it work for him. Currently down on all sectors. Alan Patterson in 16th will be content with his position at the moment, and it won't be looking to get too much of a climb. The 33 of Herman Whitner still giving it everything he's got, down 0.3 of a second. Jaco Nadir currently the only driver that is up on their time, except, scratch that, Daniel De Villiers, over the curbs, has he made it work? Yeah, only just 0.1 up. He's hoping to get the run through. 0.2 up. Has he found the pace in the Nissan GTR? He's tied for the points with Bego Krobler, so getting ahead in qualifying is going to help him out here. 0.1. Can he dig that little bit deeper? Can he find the pace? 0.2 as he boots it across. He really gives it everything he can. Throws it into the right-hander. Demands grip from the rear. Demands grip from the front. 0.3 up on the time. Gives it his absolute all. Trying to figure out if he can get the run. Christoph Peterson will be starting out in first place with a 1:42.5. Kieran Patterson in second place. Bego Krobler in third. Daniel De Villiers 0.4 up on his time. Can he get it done? And he's into the top row. Daniel De Villiers kicks his teammate off that top spot and says, not gonna happen here, buddy. You're gonna have to sit behind me. This is in for a rather interesting race. Peterson and De Villiers start out in the front row, along with Patterson and Krobler in the second row. Jeffrey LaRue will go and start with first of the programs, Martin Rotenbach. Round for the race, and Herman Whitner will follow suit in 7th and 8th. 9th is Henry Platt from our Pro division. And 10th place is Sean Lorero. And this is going to be around a very, very difficult circuit. A beautiful circuit of Hungaroring. 39 years old. Can you believe it? Absolutely incredible circuit that has brought history throughout the ages here in the world of motorsport. And man, oh man, the hitman sniping his own teammate Kieran Patterson at the last. And what can I say? We're in for an absolute treat. Now, Christoph Peterson so far taken all the victories during the course of this racing season. But Kieran Patterson was also close to getting that victory as well. Unfortunately, running out of fuel, or having his pedal snap on the brake, caused him to lose a bit of time and had to DNF in one race. So Daniel de Villiers looking to pick up the pieces. He's got Kieran Patterson holding on for that third place. And Bego Krobler from Team Wolf hoping to make his run through the order. Jeffrey LaRue, Martin Rotenbach. We'll see how he's going to go. And we are getting, that's Jackie, part of the Racing Snails, unfortunately out of the running for tonight's race. A little bit sad on that one, but coming and joining us in the virtual grandstands. Wonderful to have you all in the virtual grandstands, and absolutely incredible to see you all being a part of the show. And massive, massive welcome to every single one of you to this incredible, incredible night here at RaceFace.Pro. As we get ready to go underway for green light racing. Here at RaceFace.Pro, we are so on the run to getting into a phenomenal time and build up our run. We've officially hit 1,500 subscribers here tonight, and we can't thank you all enough for being part of the RaceFace family. And we're up to 1,504, which is massive for a community that has built its time over years and years of dedication from various people through the years in the background. But with that being said, let's take a look at our race at hand. The EG Evolved RaceFace.Pro GT3 Championship Season 24 Round 3 starts now, and it's going to be an absolute great one, because in first place, Christoph Peterson, with Daniel de Villiers in second place. We got Kieran Patterson, Bego Krobler, Jeffrey LaRue, Martin Rotenbach, Rem van der Race, Herman Whitner, Henry Platt, along with Sean Herrera, round out our top 10. Chris Biermester, Riley Henning, knock out in 12th position. Jared McComb, Chris Heineke, Jaco Nudia, Henny Porthita, Alan Patterson, Conrad Martin, Gerald Pretorius, Jackie Alberts, Keegan Bowen, Farkas Minion, along with Benjamin Till, Anton Lammers, Ludwig Zetzman, Savesh Basson, Gavin Scruton, along with Christian Zetzman, Graham Kelly, Vessel Woda, and rounding out the pack, not able to get a time on the board, but brand new colours, might I add, is Jason Farmer. I approve of the colours. I approve of the colours. Go back to my predecessor, George G. Max, and saying if you can have a livery that is stunning, that is already 10 times faster than the entire field. Now, going to be a little bit sloppy here, and please do forgive me on it as well, because here at RaceFace.Pro, we've always prided ourselves on going and elevating the game to be that little bit more in the world of racing, and ensuring that we can bring all the great action throughout the years. And as a channel that has grown since, well, going back to the old days of RaceFace, and that started in 2018. This channel was started on the 19th of April 2018, and thanks to you, the viewers, the drivers, the families, the spectators, thank you so much for allowing us to be part of your homes, to the milestone that honestly is something special. 1,504 subscribers, and we aim to get up to 2K subscribers now. It was a thought that we would never get there, but a thank you to all our sponsors and drivers. With that all being said, let's throw the soppy side away, because we don't want to hear about that. We want to talk about the racing at hand and all that, having fun. We've also got like Johan Blacknote coming in, joining to say how's it to all of his family, friends, and to all his former rivals, as he had a great bit of fun getting third place in Kyalami last night. But off to our front row, Christoph Peterson, Daniel de Villiers make their way around the circuit side by side. Bego Krobler will look to get the jump, but all eyes go towards the top. Peterson, de Villiers, lights on as we wait to go under green starting orders here for round 3 of the EG Evolved GT3 Championship, the final season of 2025, and we're under green conditions with Christoph launching off the line. De Villiers going absolutely on the charge to try and get the run. Kieran Patterson looking for the inside line as Bego Krobler hunts around, and that is a contact. Ryan van der Race had contact, and it's chaos behind. Absolute chaos. Chris Biermester thrown into disarray as well, and Van der Race thrown into the mix. Number 12 car not having an easy start to his race, and unfortunately let's quickly go and take a look, because he had a bit of contact from a certain little Lexus behind the number 9 car of Henry Platt, going and giving a little bit of its love tap into the corner. So let's quickly take a look. Henry Platt goes down center. Oh, no, it wasn't Henry Platt. That was actually Chris Biermester that clipped onto the likes of Ryan van der Race, and it just created a whole concave of problems into T1 for our drivers. But it is going to be a big run for our leaders. But this is Volker's Minion, who has turned round, and it looks like the number 25 going and getting out of shape. That's Jackie Alberts, who's managed to get himself going and back into the race. Unfortunately, going and landing up at the back, the 25 car. Looks like he had a bit of an impact as well. So let's take a look. Oh, turned around by the 777. Good dodge for the Pandassi. Oh, right across the front of the team tryout car. There's Benjamin Till, who gets a little clip as well. The 777, unfortunately, going and having a bit of problem there. Riley Henning. Oh, and then it's a clip, and it's a reverse, and it's a send, and it's a net code, and it's all kinds of problem to have a bucking Bronco, and Jackie Alberts snapping at the heels to try and get that car back into check. But take a look. Daniel de Villiers up into the lead of the race. Christoph Peterson under braking into second. Has got Kieran Patterson all over the back of him. Jared McComb pulling into the pits. Gerard Pretorius into the pits as well. Quite a few drivers trying to get themselves sorted out. Bego Krobler all over the back of Kieran Patterson as he looks to put on the charge. Jeffrey LaRue moves his way up into 5th place. Starts to open up a little bit of room to Martin Rosenbach, who currently leads out the Pro-Am field. He has got Sean Loureiro splitting him and Chris Heineke at the moment, who looks to try and see how this is going to work out. Loureiro hopes to get the run through and gain for the charge. Riley Henning a little bit further back. Henry Platt and Yakunu Dia, who are part of the earlier contacts, now trying to make their way onto the back of Riley Henning, seeing how it's going to work out for them. Keegan Bowen hoping he can stay in the mix. Of Vessel Loader trying to pick up the climb after seeing Ryan van der Race getting turned round at the start. Vishpason and Conrad Martin still step up the charge as he's got Herman Whitner onto the back of him. Gavin Scruton sits with a stop-go 30-second penalty, and that is going to be a bit of a hard one for jumping the start, and we'll have to serve that. And sorry, that wasn't for jumping the start, that was for going through pit lane and speeding. So Gavin Scruton not going to be too happy on that one, and busy thinking about long-term strategy here as he's part of the drivers that went early into the pits. Anton Lummers, who's gone out from pit lane, currently leads out those that have done their first pit stop. But take a look at Bego Krobler going and getting his run. Christoph Peterson into the pits, early stop. This is for the first time we've seen him actually go that early into a pit stop, and been watching him for years and years, been keeping an eye on all these strategies. This is the first time he's taken a very odd approach. Lap 2 into the pits to get his first pit stop done and dusted, and it's going to be many ideas for the drivers as we do see Basson going around the outside of Conrad Martin, who is now looking to try and get his fight back in. Herman Whitner doing everything he can to stay in the charge as they got Christian Zetzman coming back onto him as well. So Bego Krobler currently holds the fastest lap time of the race, but he's got 2 VWSR cars to contend with. Daniel de Villiers looking to open up the gap and looking to stay ahead of the pack. A win here tonight will be an absolute needed run for the championship to stay within fighting reach of Christoph Peterson. And with Christoph a little bit further down the order at the moment, hoping to get held up a little bit more, maybe an advantage that he's willing to take. Savish Basson and Conrad Martin, Herman Whitner all following in tow, as no driver is able to get the passes on one another as yet. Even Sean Loureiro, who's fighting out for the lead of the Pro-Ams at the moment, just can't get that little bit of grip underneath him. Can't figure out how to carry the momentum through, really trying to stand on the gas. Ooh, under braking, really looked to try and shovel his nose in there. Couldn't get it done. Flat on the gas. Daniel De Villiers sets the fastest lap time of the race at 1:44.0 this time by. And still on a monumental charge. Bego Frobler closing up in the straight, not making up in the corners here, as that Porsche of Kieran Patterson has great rotation underneath him. That's helping keeping that car well enough ahead of the pack. As we take a look at Christoph Peterson, he's currently sitting in 23rd position, not able to make the run. Conrad Martin takes a dive on the inside of Basson. Can he make it work? He's going to have Whitner ducking in as well, as Conrad Martin, door to door. This is a battle of the Ferraris. Forget GT3. This is the Ferrari challenge, as currently, Basson getting the upper hand on Martin. Whitner immediately closing up behind. And man, I wish this was a Ferrari challenge, as these drivers are taking the 296s and giving it everything they can to carry on the run. And it's going to be Conrad Martin taking a lot of curb there just to try and carry some speed to hold him, Whitner at bay. And Basson starting to open up that room a little bit more. And Whitner now sitting in the mirrors, looking to close the gap. But take a look at this. Bego Frobler's got a bit of a problem, because right behind him, Jeffrey LaRue, Martin Rosenbach, and Sean Loureiro have decided they're going to join in the party. This is going to assist Kieran Patterson a little bit, as now Bego switches from attack to defense, as Jeffrey LaRue holds on for 4th in class of our Pro Division. So it is going to be mighty days. There's a little bit of sideways action coming off the back of Kieran Patterson. But here we go, down the straight. De Villiers sets a fast lap time. You can hear that absolute Boxer 6 giving it everything it can to try and keep ahead of the Aston Martin that just in a straight line absolutely goes for it. Oh, LaRue going and out braking himself. Absolutely compromised his drive. And now suddenly has Martin Rotenbach for a bit of company. The Conquest Racing all over the back of the Griffin sim racing machine. It's going to be all about getting the power on. Martin Rotenbach doing everything he can to just close the distance. Christoph Peterson on his climb, still looking to have a great charge. But we do get reports though that there's a problem for Graham Kelly. That's out of turn 1 into the weeds. Wessel Voda a little bit mistaken as well, going and losing out sometimes. Unfortunately, a bit of contact it seems for the 86 and the 133. Let's quickly take a look at this, because Wessel Voda was behind Graham Kelly coming into T1. Did he go too late on the brakes? Graham Kelly, misses out his brake marker and goes wide. Feeds on the power. Wessel Voda, door to door. The lightest touches on the corner. That turned him around, and unfortunately going and landing up with a bit of a turn. Now Wessel Voda is keeping ahead of our Ferrari challenge of Basson, Martin and Whitner at the moment, who continue on the charge. Alan Patterson defending from the likes of Chris Biermester, the Pandacity machine, looking to get a good run out here, giving it everything they can. And just a quick one for the Pandacity team. Congratulations to them for their Monza 24-hour. They recently did an iRacing. So good call out for them, and well done from RaceFace. Chris Biermester, Riley Henning now onto the back of him, and Riley looking to stand to attack. Bego Frobler early into the pits. Lap 5, we start to see those early pit stops. And is it a react to the likes of Christoph Peterson, as Chris Biermester looked for the inside line on Alan Patterson? No room to get on by. Never mind. Alan went in a bit deep. Cost him some time. Riley Henning's clear, and Chris Biermester's clear. But Alan's going to keep his nose firmly locked in forward. Try to go late on the brakes. Couldn't make it work. Riley defend the inside line, and now needs to keep up the drive. Jaco Nadir trying to close up on the gap as well to Alan Patterson, who is now under some serious pressure and looking to try and close the distance up as fast as possible. Kieran Patterson looking to get the run at the moment as Daniel de Villiers leads out the race and looking to stay far ahead of the pack. However, it's going to be a tough time out there. Jeffrey LaRue holds on to that third place and still giving it an absolute charge at the moment. And what on earth has happened, folks? The hitman, Daniel de Villiers, has just disconnected. Daniel de Villiers has just disconnected. We have just lost Daniel de Villiers, who was leading out the race, who had this almighty gap underneath him, and now is out of the race. That means it blows the championship wide open, and it means Bago is going to score enough points to hold on to that second place. What on earth happened to Daniel de Villiers in our pro division that has knocked him out of the running for this race? Oh man, no, heartache of notes going out to him, and I really hope they can get that car back out onto circuit to rejoin and try and score at least something for the championship. Sean Loureiro fighting out against Martin Rotenbach, because now they have just gone from fighting for fourth place for fighting for third. Martin Rotenbach, who currently leads out the Pro-Am field, is looking to carry on the drive. Herman Whitner all over the back of Conrad Martin, trying to get as much drive as he can. Looks for the inside line. He's a little bit of a clip on the lights. And Herman getting a little bit out of shape there to Conrad Martin. Clipped the rear of him, and that was a turnaround. Oh, and a little bit of a shoulder nudge coming in as he tried to turn in. Didn't quite see Christoph Peterson, who came on by. Now Christoph looks to carry on the momentum and getting his way through. Dives on the inside of the likes of Conrad Martin immediately. That's Herman Whitner, takes the opportunity, slams his way in, and now looking to try and open up the distance to Conrad Martin as they continue on the drive. Alan Patterson dealing with the Jaco Nodia and really giving it everything they can, and just a call out to the PW Salt Pits, because I know Thriller Miller going and seeing there Darren Millett, and hopefully he can just relay some information of what on earth happened to the likes of Daniel de Villiers and has got him out of the race. I surely hope that the PWSR team can get that car back out on circuit, even just finishing, scoring something in the points. It might be that one extra point that he needs to carry his way through the championship. Vinny Portita loses out to Chris Heineke on the inside to turn one. Riley Henning has got a bit of a gap as Jaco Nadir takes a dive on Alan Patterson. Alan going to fire back for the undercut, looking to get really underneath him, and it's going to be the battle of the V8s. The Mustang getting a good run. Now needs to try and slow that car down as Alan down into 10th position. It's got Keegan Bowen a little bit closer for a bit of company. Sean Loureiro and Martin Rotenbach continuing to fight for that P1 in class and not able to get past just as yet. This GTR driver trying everything he can to go late under braking to see if he can close up and try put his nose forward at the moment. No room to get on by, and you can see that rear starting to slip more and more as he tries to get that car going, bottoming out over the curbs, and going to have to be rather cautious on it. Doesn't want to destroy the tires, and really starting to feel that little bit of understeer creeping in on these cars, as this circuit is a high degradation circuit on your tires. It's not because the circuit is too abrasive, but naturally the changes in camber, the changes in undulation, and with the 14 turns that range from high speed into sharp hairpins, means that you're putting extreme loads through the tires every which way possible. Especially your front left will take a serious beating during the course of this race, and you've got to be well enough in mind of what's happening. So Kieran Pettigrew, likes of Christoph Peterson, up into 15th position. Currently leads out those that have done their pit stops. He's hoping to get a little bit more of a run. Savesh Masson cleared the likes of Whitner and now sees the back of Vessel Woda. Got Christoph Peterson making up some time, and just ahead of him, Ludwig Zetzman for Team Tryhard continues to carry the momentum, and Team Tryhard is actually a very old team that's been here in the world of sim racing here in South Africa, and a big part of RaceFace.Pro was actually, if you go back to the original videos of RaceFace.Pro, and I mean go back to 2018 where it was just POV, it was the Team Tryhard racing against some of the KSR drivers and the CEO of RaceFace.Pro going and battling it out. So they've also just kept their time here. Sean Lorero, Martin Rotenbach continue to follow suit. No change for position. Christoph Peterson sneaks up on the inside of Hassan. Ooh, he gets out of shape. Has to try and bring that car back into check. He carries on his merry way, but starts to lose it a little bit more again. And those tyres looking maybe a little bit too overcooked at the moment. He's got to take a little bit of a cool down lap before it gets back onto the hard push. Any Portita out there for the racing snails, all over the back of Chris Heineke of the Griffin Sim Racing team. Looking to see if he can clear. Goes deep on the inside. Can he get the power down early enough? Unfortunately not able to do it. Stuck on the outside. Chris Heineke is going to force him out wide. Losing that little bit of drive. Losing that little bit of the toe. And Henny Portita now needs to snap back in. Chris Biermeister for the Pandacity team. Looking to try and close up the gap to him as well. 8 under braking. Portita all over the show. Trying to see where can he get past the likes of Chris Heineke at the moment, who's not making it any easier to try and get on by. It's always a tough race indeed, and where it's going to have to try and make it work in his favor as Portita, once again, no drive to get the clear of him. Jeffrey LaRue all over the back of Kieran Patterson. This is now an interesting twist, as Jeffrey LaRue has closed up that gap at a rate of knots. Now seeing that he's up in contention for a first place, he can put the pressure on to the likes of Kieran Patterson. The Griffin Sim Racing team and the PWSR team have fought across through the years, not only here in RaceFace.Pro, but at Sarco, Monday Night Racing, and the South African Sim Racing, the SRSA, the likes of ATK. Just so you can go through all the different names that these two teams have crossed paths, crossed swords, and stayed in the fight with one another. They are looking to do it all over again for round 3 of our EG Evolved GT3 Championship for LaRue. It's all about scoring points here. For Patterson, who is in for a good run, is now trying to claw his way back in for contention. And for the likes of LaRue, a little bit further down in the championship, sitting in 18th at the moment. That is ahead of a good run, but Kieran Patterson 15th in the championship. Oh, as we do see LaRue going out a little bit later on the braking, costing some time. Now need to try and pick up the pieces. Henny Portita and Chris Heineke going on to the back of one another as they fight for that top 5. Alan Patterson, Keegan Bowen, 2 Aston Martins trying to have a bit of a go. Ravenous Motorsport trying to look for the inside line and not able to go and get past the likes of Alan Patterson, but definitely try putting his nose forward, see if he can get just something to get the run. Visserwoda now has got Savish, Basson and Herman Whitner all over the back of him as they look to try and open up the distance. Mago Krobler trying to also claw his way back up to that top 5. He pitted, he got one stop done. Now needs to think about when is he going to get the second stop, because both himself and Christoph Peterson dropped out of the top 5 by pitting within the first 18 minutes of this race. Jason Farmer into pit lane, doing his final stop of the race by the looks of it, and going to be racing till the very end. A bit of a gamble on his part to see if he can make it work out in his favor. This is going to be costing him a little bit of time here. What on earth is that strategy for Jason Farmer to get into the box so early? Looking to see how that's going to work out in his favor. So a couple of drivers out there trying to think of what can they do to really get the run. Christian Zetzman rejoins the field, a couple of laps down, but is back in for the race. It's good to see the Zetzman family, despite the chips are down, they're going to do everything they can to keep themselves going, and hats off to them. Chris Heineke, Portita and Biermeister going to be keeping a very close eye on one another as Biermester up on the inside, goes for the send on the racing snail. Over the curb he goes. Really trying to keep the drive in at the moment and carries a lot through. Henny Porchita keeps his nose forward. Doesn't want to lose our time. Late on the brakes in. Absolutely goes for the lunge. Henny Porchita retakes that 6th place spot. Loses out the drive to Chris Heineke, but he has got the drive on Chris Biermester. It's all over the back of him. Trying to go that little bit forward. Alan Patterson and Keegan Bowen continue on their charge. Herman Wetner a little bit further back has got Basson, and Bago Frobler joins into the mix as well. Dives for the inside of Basson and gets that pass done and dusted. Wetner's going to be the next one up on the list as he tries to slice his way through the Pro-Am field. It's going to be a tough one for the likes of Herman Wetner. Where are you going to see this Aston Martin come through if you're going to let him go on by? But you're so close to Vessel Woda. Is this going to be an opportunity that will be taken away from you as he absolutely tries to keep an eye both on that center mirror that you'll see right next to his dash? That is a camera that is in the boot of the car. He's able to see what's going on there, and you can immediately see how close the likes of Bago Frobler is under braking, trying to lunge for the pass. And Vessel Woda got a poor exit. This is now a drag race to turn 1. And it's going to be a tough run. Sorry, another full turn 1 to soft back straight as they land up having contact. Immediately, Vessel Woda loses out that spot, tries to put his nose forward on Bago Frobler, goes and pushes on by, saying, not going to happen, Bago, you're going to have to wait. I have got a charge here on Wetner, just ahead of him. Wetner now seeing Vessel Woda lost that little bit of drive. Savesh Bazan absolutely going very, very wide. Loses out a lot of drive down the straight. Now it's going to be Bago Frobler looking for T1. The likes of Vessel Woda trying to go defensive, feeds him into the inside line. And it's going to be Bago Frobler stopping it dead on the apex, gets a drive. Also, unfortunately, slows up Vessel Woda, costing him some time. Vessel Woda now will have to just be a bit patient, follow the train through and see how it's going to work out. Graham Kelly and Henry Platt in that number 9. They've got right into the mix on the start. Now trying to fight out with Kelly just ahead of him as they carry on their fight for 19th and 20th position. Keegan Bowen loses out the position to likes of Christoph Peterson. But remember, Christoph has done a pit stop, but this means that the likes of Alan Patterson doesn't have to let him go. Savesh Basson, unfortunately, is into the weeds and now trying to pull himself out. 2, 3, 4 going and landing up with a bit of a problem. Let's see what happened out here. Dirty push a little too hard and the tyres did not hold for him. Goes into the corner, out a little bit wide, and oh, the rear snaps. He's able to save it. Oh my word. What a save. Basson kept it away from the wall and is able to keep going. Alan Patterson holds the inside line as Peterson trying to make his way through. Will have the inside line through the right-hander. And that is going to be Keegan Bowen immediately diving into the pits, taking his opportunity to clear that first pit stop as Alan Patterson continues to keep the pressure on and hoping to stay a little bit closer into it. Graham Kelly along with Henry Platt continue on their drive with one another, hoping to see if it's going to work through. And our drivers now going and into their final hour of this race. Henny Porchita, Chris Heineke still continue their fight with Chris Biermester hanging on the back. But it's Kieran Patterson that leads out our field. Jeffrey LaRue holds on to second place, 0.8 of a second behind, and is really mounting that pressure. Martin Rosenbach is in third place overall, first in class, with Sean Guerrero second in the Pro-Am class, fourth overall. Chris Heineke into that top 5 has got Henny Porchita and Chris Biermester all over the back of him. Riley Heading and Jaco Nadir, along with Christoph Peterson, trying to fight his way back into the mix. Side by side for Keegan Bowen and the likes of Henry Platt, as it's a drive-through for Jackie Albert. For track limits exceeded, Jason Farmer, the first of the drivers. They've completed all their pit stops. Henry Platt going and walking Graham Kelly out wide. Says, listen, buddy, you're going to have to really try and figure out what you can do around me. That's going to be a look down the inside. Second guess for Benjamin Till. He's going to just rather focus on the charge up against Conrad Martin. Breaks a little bit later. Tries to get as much drive as he can out of T1. Not able to get that run through the order. So, Kieran Patterson and the likes of Jeffrey LaRue, Martin Rotenbach is holding on to third place. Chris Heineke up into second. He's into fourth position. What on earth is going on here, folks? Looks like we have lost another car into the mix. That was fighting out a little bit further back. That was our second place, Sean Marrero, who has seemingly disconnected. So Sean Marrero, unfortunately, having a disconnect, is out of the running. And I really, really hope they can get that car back out on circuit. And oh my hat, that is a nightmare case scenario for Sean Marrero, who was in for a podium spot. As we do see Henny Porchita taking a look on the inside of Chris Heineke. He wants to try and clear and open up a bit of distance to now third place Chris Biermeister as he continues on the charge. Ludwig Zetzman, Herman Whitner, Bego Krubler all keep as close as they can to one another, and it's going to be Whitner looking up on the inside of Zetzman. Can he get the drive on the exit? Unable to get it done and dusted as yet, as immediately starting to feel the pressure from Bego Krubler in that Aston Martin, bouncing and eating himself over the curbs. And now continues to see where it works out. Chris Heineke, Henny Porchita, and Chris Biermeister continue to follow suit at the moment. We're expecting a lot of the drivers to pull in at the 45-minute mark, and we'll be getting their pit stops done and dusted. Jared McComb and Anton Lammers continue on their drive. Jackie Alberts with a drive-through penalty due to track limits exceeded. We'll be needing to get that done and dusted. It's costed some serious time in the mix. Bego Krubler trying to go around the outside with Ludwig Zetzman and keep his foot absolutely planted as Bego clears Zetzman, team trial driver, waves on by and says, right, now pull me a bit closer. Now that you cost me a little bit of time there, I need to try and get ahead of Whitner as much as possible. Chris Biermeister going for the inside line of the Griffinson Racing Machine of Chris Heineke, couldn't make it work. Riley Henning has got Jaco Nadir all over the back of him as they fight out for that 8th, 7th, 6th and 5th position in the running, and just ahead of them, Henny Porchita going to be quite happy on his drive at the moment, holds on to second in the Pro-Am. Chris Heineke, a bit of a piggy in the middle at the moment to the 3 Pro-Ams behind him. Chris Biermeister, Henning and Nadir look to try and keep themselves going. We actually do have Daniel de Villiers, who is in the pits, busy cheering. Oh no, that's a big problem coming in. Herman Whitner going and catching the back of Graham Kelly, has turned him around. Bego Krubler clears on by. He had to take evasive maneuvers on that run, and unfortunately getting caught out in a bit of a scenario there. Let's quickly try and see what happened. So Graham Kelly out in the 86 is in the way of the 2 contact with Herman Whitner and likes of Bego Krubler, under braking, little contact on the rear, and just drives through to try and hold his position. A great avoidance for the team tryout car. Unfortunately for Graham Kelly, that's not how you want to see things land up happening. But we do have our PWSR driver of Daniel de Villiers sitting in pit lane cheering on Kieran Patterson. And let's see if we can try and get him in for a bit of a chat, find out what exactly happened to the likes of de Villiers and why he had that disconnect despite being in the lead. Christoph Peterson dives for the inside of Jaco Nadir. Says thank you very much on that one. Clears on by. Next up is going to be Riley Henning, Chris Biermeister and Chris Heineke, who are running a little bit up ahead. And we'll try and see if we can get a little bit of communication with the drivers. It'll be interesting to find out what exactly happened to the likes of Daniel de Villiers, the hitman, who really spiked in some great pace in the start. Unfortunately, not quite having Lady Luck smiling as that number 10 socket dropped off note. We do have him in for a bit of a chat. Daniel de Villiers, welcome to the commentary box. And my heavens, what on earth happened that has brought you to where you are now?
Yeah, good evening, Stephen. I'm not the happiest person at the moment. Yeah, no, it just dropped suddenly. I've had the same thing an hour earlier as well, around the same time, just an hour intervals. So yeah, I think the internet here is broken at my house.
Oh, gut-wrenching blow, but take us through your qualifying pace was absolutely blistering. Get yourself on the front row. Were you expecting to be starting out in first place and having that great run for the first couple of laps?
Oh, well, the plan was to start at the front row. I knew I wasn't going to catch Christoph. He's quite quick on this one lap thing of his. But yeah, I knew the Nissan had a bit pace on the straight, and maybe that was my chance. So I didn't execute it at the start, but on turn 5, turn 4, I was in the lead, and I'm pretty much happy with that. And I would have maintained the lead and controlled it beautifully, I think, with the tire management and everything. But yeah, looks like it just wasn't meant to be for me tonight.
Well, I think you know what I'm going to say at this moment, and considering that there is still points on the table for just getting across the line, something tells me you're able to get that PWSR Nissan GTR back out on the circuit. Might not be for the lead, but it's still crucial points in the championship, and to have every single one of the PWSR cars that started at least finish the race. And I do think that old Thriller Miller himself, Darren Miller, will be agreeing on that one, because you saw the green, you have to see the checker.
No, Stephen, I won't risk it costing other people's races by accidents or anything. So yeah, I'll rather just play it safe for everyone else. Yeah. And I'll just stand on the side and cheer everyone on and tell them they must have a good race rather.
I'm still not buying that one. You know the thoughts of it here in the commentary box. You know the thoughts. We've been friends for a long time. I still think you know how to drive. You know how to go there. I mean, I take a look at Christian Zetzman, who also had a disconnect. Sean Loureiro, who was lying second in the Pro-Am, had a disconnect. Both of them rejoined and seeing it through to the end. There is absolutely no excuse that the Hitman, after putting on a splendid performance in qualifying, to go and shake the boots of Christoph Peterson to get ahead and snipe his own teammate of Kieran Patterson of that front row, has to sit in pit lane with a perfectly working Nissan GTR that there's only 2 on circuit in this championship for our Pro and Pro-Am. There is no reason to see you going and sitting, and I'm going to say it there, because far as I've known you, and far as many competitors would have known throughout the years here in RaceFace.Pro, we've called you by many names of the Hitman, the Rocket, the Missile, but you've always come back fighting and putting on a great performance, and you have shown your mettle in the past. I think it's worth getting that car out. You'll be laps down on the race, yes. You'll have to pick and choose your battles, yes, but I can speak for everyone here in the virtual grandstands. I'd like the virtual grandstands to go and tell me if I'm wrong in saying this. We want to see the Hitman. We want to see Daniel de Villiers back out on circuit, racing with his teammates, because you might not even go and talk about going for a win, but what you can do, and it's something that Alan Patterson has even brought up in the past, is following around, communicating with the team to identify who's there on the circuit and where they're going, and most importantly, see it through to the end. Do not get a DNF on the championship points, because you've got this far without one. You can't start the streak now.
Stephen, I'll cut my losses. I'll take it as it is. It won't tear me up to carry on. I'll just feel more pain knowing that I could have been at the top. So, I'm not.
Think about it. Think about it, and I urge the grandstands to give their feelings on it as well, because we know you. And yes, it does hurt, but it would hurt more to see a DNF than to see that you have finished. And who knows how the race is going to go, because it looks like we've just had another disconnect. We're down to 29 cars. So the more time you spend in pits, the more time you lose out. And, well, think about it. Take a look to the grandstands, because there's a whole lot of PWSR out there cheering you on and going and making sure that they want to see you through to the end regardless. Think about it, but a bit of hard luck out there.
No.
You're gonna say no.
I'll save this rage and engine, as I can say, for Barcelona, and I'm pretty sure I'll win that one. I'll put everything in it to win that one, just to make up for tonight.
Go have an ice cream. You deserve it, and well done on a phenomenal qualifying. But think about it. Think about it.
Thank you, Stephen.
Daniel Villiers going out and unfortunately retiring the car. For now, I say for now, I would like to see him go back out on circuit. Can you let me know out there in the virtual grandstands if you want to see Daniel de Villiers go back out on circuit to see it through to the end? Go and let him know out there in the grandstands as well. But let's talk about the racing. Is Chris Biermeister losing the rear end of the car, going and swapping around. Looks like he had a bit of contact with Chris Heineke on that as well. So let's quickly take a look at the 37 and 74. As there's Chris Heineke on the Griffin Sim Racing team with Chris Biermeister of Pandacity Machines continuing their way around. And it's a very late break for Heineke. Contact, unfortunately, it was just that steering turn. Swapped him around and unfortunately loses out that little bit of time. Fortunate, no major impacts regardless of the run. They're still trying to keep up the go. Alan Patterson closes up 2.9 seconds. He's got Bego Frobler leading in for the charge at the moment and seeing how he can grow that pace. Christoph Peterson up into 4th place after having his first pit stop of the race. Kieran Patterson still deals with Jeffrey LaRue, with Martin Rotenbach in 3rd place, who currently holds on to 1st in the Pro-Am. Eddie Porchita down in 5th place, up against the back marker of Graham Kelly at the moment, trying to see how he can clear for the Racing Snails. Holds on to 2nd in the Pro-Am. Chris Biermeister going and running 3rd. Here's Bego Frobler hunting down Alan Patterson, and these two have crossed paths more than once over the course of many years. Alan Patterson, a former commentator here at RaceFace.Pro and one of the fastest voices in ACC, now looks to try and keep up the momentum right into the back of the PWSR car. Alan hoping to gain as much drive as possible as Chris Heineke into pit lane. Bego looks for a lunge on the inside. He swings that nose forward, just trying to slow the car down enough. Alan Patterson runs out a little bit wide, keeps his foot firmly on the gas, and now trying to open up the run at the moment. Bego stuck to the outside, just trying to see where he can get the momentum. Alan Patterson going and fighting tooth and nail at the moment, going and driving a very wide car to ensure that he can hold his ground. Heineke into the pits, waiting to get back out onto the circuit. Alan Patterson attacking the curbs, lost a little bit of drive. Bego Frobler trying to look for the undercut underneath him, can't quite get that bit of momentum to see where it's all going to work out, and you can see that rear end starting to get a little bit lively as he's hunting for any line, any grip, any bit of chase at the moment. See if it's going to work out for him as they hold on for 8th and 7th position overall, and still pushing on for 4th in class for our pros. Bego Frobler, who's done his first pit stop, is now compromising his run, his tyres, going and running since the start of the race. His pit stop was a 5.5 second to Christoph Peterson's 5.8 second stop, and they continue to see how it goes. Chris Heineke doing a full tyre change, lies out in 20th position on the exit of pit lane. Benjamin Till, Conrad Martin fight it out as we did see catch the likes of Bego Frobler diving into the pits. Chris Biermeister joins him in pit lane, as well as our leader now trying to clear the back markers. Gets behind Benjamin Till, who is on a huge charge at the moment to get onto the back, and he goes out wide. Okay, so what a run for him. They've got to give it up. Benjamin Till not wanting to hold up the leader, does allow both likes of Kieran Patterson and Jeffrey LaRue to come on by. Now next up is going to be Conrad Martin in the Ferrari to try and clear. But Kieran doesn't want to lose out too much time. He gets given the inside line, rolled out the red carpet, and an easy go for him. Herman Webster, Chris Biermester, Keegan Bowen all into pit lane. This is going to be a bit of a telling sign for likes of Kieran Patterson and Jeffrey LaRue, as now Bago Krubler would have completed all these pit stops and trying to go that little bit further in the race. 21st position is Jason Farmer, who's done all these pit stops. Kevin Scruton down in 25th, and the likes of Graham Kelly have done their pit stops for this race, and now going till the very end. Who is going to have the run on the way through as Bago Krubler leaves pit lane with immediately Chris Biermester on the back of him. There is Jason Farmer for company, goes around Biermester, looks to try and get the drive, and now closes up the distance to Bago Krubler as they look to brawl it their way through. Martin Rotenbach pits from first place in the Pro-Am. Is it going to be Henny Porchita to pit? No, he's going to go right the way around and keep his foot firmly on the gas. Clears Martin Rotenbach, and now we'll look to carry that little bit forward as we do see Christoph Peterson getting the pass, now trying to make his way through. And what on earth has actually gone on with the car? Peterson is very, very slow. Peterson can't change gear. Peterson has got no gears. He's up into 6th. He can't come down the gears. Peterson can't come down the gears. Christoph Peterson can't come down the gears and now has got extreme failure on the steering. He thought Lady Luck smiled on him for the likes of Daniel De Villiers, who will be out of this race, but it looks like hardware failure has come on, and Christoph Peterson, after having a stellar run, is now trying to get himself to pit lane in 6th gear, not able to get the run at all, and is losing time after time, hand over foot, to try and see if he can get this car into the pits, possibly to do a bit of a reset, to try and change the gearing and see if he can possibly get it to take. As we jump on board, he's managed to get it to 4th, up into 5th, down to 4th. Here's a bit of a problem here. He's down to 3rd. What is going on? Is this... He can go through the gears now, but is this a pedal failure on him? And it looks like it might be pedal failure, not even gearbox failure. Something has gone wrong with our championship leader, and I did bring up a little bit earlier, you've got to be in it to win it, to score points for the championship. Christoph Peterson now into pit lane, along with Ludwig Zitzman. We'll have Jakob Nadir and Henry Platt clear both and continue on their drive. Oh, never mind. Henry Platt says no thank you. He's going to get on by. Herman Whitmer, all parked in the grass, trying to get himself going, rejoining the circuit, and is a little bit down from where he wanted to be, down into 19th as he gets overtaken by Conrad Martin. But this is a huge turn of events, and it's going to be a big smile on the face for Bago Krubler, who is currently 2nd in the championship, trying to take his time. Kieran Patterson, on the other hand, has got a 2-second gap to Jeffrey LaRue, as both those drivers look to move their way up through the order. The question is, will Christoph Peterson be able to get his car sorted out? Does leave pit lane, and we're going to jump on board. Oh, that's going through the gears beautifully now, and revving up all the way through. Has now got mountains and mountains of work ahead of him. Essentially had to try and get that car sorted out, and now needs to try and close up a monster deficit to the back. Bago Krubler's cleared him. Now Jason Farmer's in there for a bit of luck to see if he can stay in for the chase. And with Jason Farmer on some nice warm tyres, no frustration, looks to clear up likes of Christoph Peterson, and he does swing round. Got the pass. Jason Farmer now looks to open up the gap to Christoph Peterson, who's dropping back a little bit even now. Peterson not having an easy time out there. Possibly trying to drive through whatever problem he's got on board at the moment, and seeing that he's dropped behind Farmer and Bego Frobler. Bego fighting for the championship at the moment. Is in for winning ways, heading Porchita into the pits. That means Vessel Voda will get the pass and now take over the lead in the Pro-Am division. Yaku Nadir will follow suit as well, take over second place, as Bego Frobler all over the back of Chris Heineke, looking to try and clear his way through. Heineke not going to give up his line just at the moment, will continue to see it through as he's got Jared Torres now into pit lane. Heineke not backing down, gets immediately in down the straight, and as we have Christoph Peterson clearing Jason Farmer. Bego Frobler's going to go to the inside line. He's going to really try and get it to work here, and gets back onto the racing line. So instead of holding that inside, he decided to get past, get right in front, chase down, and keep going nonetheless. And you know what? You gotta love it. You gotta talk about it, because he thought about it. Daniel De Villiers back in the seat. The Nissan GTR will see it to the end. That is what I love to see. That is what I want to see. And what we all want to see. The PWSR Nissan GTR heads back to the circuit to see it through to the end. He sat down, he had an ice cream, he spoke to you out in the grandstands. That's what we want, Daniel. That's what we want. Get that car going and get back out on the circuit. Kieran Patterson up into first. Alan Patterson into second as he clears Jeffrey LaRue in pit lane. Vessel Woda will be blasting past to get third place overall, and now leads out the Pro-Am division. Yako Nadir trying to see if he can get past LaRue and make it hurt as well as he boots his way across the line. Will get up, it's fourth. Jeffrey LaRue leaving pit lane, gets out ahead of Martin Rotenbach, who is now trying to lean on the pressure as much as possible. Henny Porchita, Bego Frobler, Christoph Peterson clearing Chris Heineke. Now looks to carry on the drive. Herman Wetner up on the inside of Conrad Martin and carried a lot of drive on the way through, just not able to keep his foot on the gas. And really trying to see where he can make it work out for him. How far are they willing to go as this championship, the EG Evolved GT3 Championship, our second ever season with EG Evolved, joining us here. And honestly, some great racing to have on board. And it really shows that you can't give up. We had a driver last night that went all the way out to Simulator Cave, came back 2 hours before the race starts in the LMU after having to buy new pedals and see it through to the end. Well, we're going to see the likes of the Nissan GTR, Daniel De Villiers, to do exactly that same task, to see that car across the line. And despite being a bit down in the dumps, he's able to think about it, take a look, see up ahead, and says, right, might be out of this run for tonight, but if I can get across the line, well, at least it's a good haul of points nonetheless. Bego Frobler and Christoph Peterson now 1.8 seconds splitting between them. Christoph, who had a problem with his pedals a little bit earlier on in the race, continues to try and open up just a little bit of drive to see if he can close up the distance. Jason Farmer snapped off that toe by a long shot at the moment, falls into the top 10 as Bego, Peterson and Farmer have completed all their laps. Conrad Martin leaving pit lane, gets out, and now side by side as he goes and allows the drivers to come through. He is down into 24th position. 1.8 seconds ahead of him is the Lamborghini of Benjamin Till, who is trying to open up the distance as it stands. Interesting racing indeed. Interesting pushes for our drivers. Jackie Alberts sitting in pit lane, trying to get the stop done and dusted, and hopefully we'll be heading out onto circuit. Hasn't had the easiest of runs out there. Sean Loureiro, who had a disconnect, returns to the circuit. He's in an absolute chase to try and make up some time. Christian Zetzman in the 29th position continues on the drive. We're looking forward to seeing the likes of Daniel de Villiers heading out onto the circuit very, very soon to rejoin the race and be a part of all the action. Savish Basson is the last of those drivers that need to go into the pit sets, currently on the lead lap, as he will be thinking about strategies right now to keep ahead of Rhino for the race. Gerald Torres, Anton Lubbers, Benjamin Till, Conrad Martin, Gavin Scruton, and so many more after a bit of a disastrous run early on. Kieran Patterson still with 2 stops. Alan Patterson still with 2 stops. Vessel Woda still with 2 stops to go for our top 3. That's Jaco Nadir, who pulls into pit lane to complete his final stop of the race. Is going to be enough, as here comes LaRue, who will retake that 4th place spot. Martin Rotenbach and Henny Porchita going and running out a little bit more. Jaco Nadir into the pits. We'll suddenly have Martin Rotenbach and Jeffrey LaRue come blasting past him. This is now an interesting run for the likes of Martin Rotenbach, who is in the fight for the championship and looking to see it through to the end. Christian Zetzman into the pits, serving his pit stop, and will be looking to get it done, dusted, rejoin the race after a disconnect as well. We are still keeping eyes on Daniel de Villiers, who I'm sure is giving some heads up to the drivers in his team, but we'd still like to see that car get back out onto circuit and get driving to join the rest of the race, to see it through to the check flag with 29 minutes to go. It is Kieran Patterson and Alan Patterson who currently hold on to the top 2, and they've got Sean Herrero, who's a blue flag car, hounding Alan at the moment, trying to say, come on buddy, you need to get that little bit of a getty up and go, as we need to try and move our way forward in this race. How is it going to look for the championship, as it all starting to swap around? Vessel Woda leading out the Pro-Ams has got Jeffrey LaRue putting a nice space between himself and Martin Rotenbach, who's got Henny Porchita trying to close up a distance for 2nd and 3rd in the Pro-Am. Bagor Krobler still leads out against Christoph Peterson. These two absolutely brawling their way through. Peterson, who had a bit of hardware failure early on, now trying to just see his way through to the end. Now all over the back of Bagor Krobler, 2nd place in the championship, and wants to stay in for the fight, going that little bit further if he can make it work out for him. Krobler on the chase with Peterson, giving it his absolute all to try and stay in the mix. Come on Daniel, get that car out. By this time you can put it in gear, as Christoph Peterson puts fast lap time in the race at 1:42.8, and I am calling Daniel de Villiers out on that one. You're in the car, you're on the server, you're looking at the racing. You might be giving a bit of spotting, but come on, buddy, get that car back out there. I know that you want to. I know you want to get at least that fastest lap away from Christoph Peterson. And if you can't win the race, take the fastest lap away from him. Really put that little bit of a sting in. Why not? Because you can. Keegan Bowen, Jared McCoop around for the race, and Savish Basson continue their moves as Savish pulls into the pit lane. Ludwig Zetzman losing out to Falch Minion, and the likes of Henry Platt a little bit further down as well. Chris Heineke dealing with Jared McCoop, looking around the outside, gonna swing it, see if he can try get that pass, and he does beautifully, as Chris Heineke has sunk it in a little too deep there. Keegan Bowen says thank you very much, and here comes the Racing Snails in the Mustang, trying to close up the distance as well. Jackie Alberts, who is 27th, is just following. Mike's behind Chris Heineke and Keegan Bowen at the moment, and wanting to just keep a close eye on how this field's going to go. Fight out for net 1st and 2nd place, Bagger Krobler and Christoph Peterson, who are still on an almighty charge. Peterson holds the inside line. Now it's going to be stuck on the outside as the Aston Martin going and stretching open that little bit of a gap. Gets ahead of Peterson. Bago trying to fight tooth and nail. These two absolutely brawling with one another. And Bago Krobler is leading out the charge, but for how long? As here comes Peterson under braking, late on the anchors, sends it down the inside, slows the car up. Bago tries to go for the undercut, couldn't quite get it done as there was a problem, a Honda in the way, keeping him at bay. The Aston Martin, Bago Krobler, Team Wolf all over the back of Christoph Peterson. Logistical Nightmare Racing, and a drive-through penalty coming in for the likes of Chris Heineke. In the last 25 minutes of the race, he's done all these pit stops and will be visiting the pit lane yet again for that track limits exceeded. He dives immediately into the pits to try and clear it and get going, as he doesn't want to hang around too much with it. Herman Wittner all over the back of Jaco Nordia at the moment. Jaco, who has completed all these pit stops for the likes of our Pro-Am division, looks to try and see how far up the order he can go. He's got Chris Burmester a bit away from him, sitting 12 seconds away. Herman Wittner, who still needs to go into the pits, giving him gears, pushing that a little bit harder, trying to see where exactly can he come on by. Visserwoda into the pits. Is Martin Rotenbach? Nope, he's going to ignore it. He's going to go through, and Henny Polgieter is going to be the next one. Is he going to dive into pit lane or second guess it? Henny Polgieter going to go that little bit further into the race as well. So it's Jeffrey LaRue retaking third place of the race with Alan Patterson and Kieran Patterson currently leading out our top three. Visserwoda gives up that first place to Martin Rotenbach and Henny Polgieter, who will take over second of our Pro-Am division. Chris Beermester will be the next one to keep a very close eye as he exits out of the final corner. Visserwoda stuck in pit lane. We'll see Jason Farmer come past, and nightmare case for him as Chris Beermester clears and carries his way up through the order. A great run on him. Visserwoda, part of the drivers last season, who was in for a absolute run for the championship. Now scratching his head, trying to figure out what can he do in planning to make it work out for him. Jaco Nadir holds the inside line. Herman Wittner getting thrown out wide, under braking, couldn't quite get that car all in check, and still waits to try and figure out what is the game plan here. Chris Burmester, Visserwoda, Herman Wittner, Minion, and Ludwig Zetzman have done their first stop, but not their second. But our top five still needing to get our top two still need to get their first pit stop out of the way. Jeffrey LaRue needs his final stop. Martin Rotenbach and Henny Polgieter need to get their final pit stop clear and done. Christoph Peterson gets onto the back of Henny Polgieter. The Racing Snails now sees a little Honda clenching up. Vega Krobler 2.6 seconds behind, trying to just find some grip, some pace, some little bit of opportunity to see if he can stay in the chase. Sean Lerero, despite that disconnect, will be serving his pit stop. Christian Zetzman completed all his pit stops, but Jackie Alberts with the drive-through penalty will need to get that sorted out and carry on his race. An absolute nightmare case for him, as you did see Daniel De Villiers still sitting in pit lane, yet to go out and still considering whether he should. Now let's take a look at the most gains and losses, and let's start with the bad one at the moment, because I'm going to talk about those that are still running, not those that aren't running. So Daniel De Villiers, who isn't running, I'm going to disregard in that, despite him starting in second place. But it's Sean Lerero, who is currently running. He's down 18 positions from where he started in this race, and is still looking to make his way back up through the order. But the most gains in the race, starting from 31st, stone cold dead last, Jason Farmer up 23 positions, with Visserwoda currently up 20 positions on the run through as well. So Jaco Nadir trying to see where he can defend against Herman Wittner as it stands. Each of the drivers going that little bit further. Wittner trying to see under braking, considering his options right now as Minion and Zetzman behind him are yet to do their stops as well. Voda needing to do his final stop, and Chris Beermester needs to do his final stop, who currently holds on to third place in the Pro-Am. Henny Polgieter holds on second, and Martin Rotenbach holds on to first with his final stop needing to be done and dusted. Trying to figure out what is going to be the big plan here. As Whitman tries to go around the outside of the Yucca Nadir, no room there. Whitman's going to keep his nose firmly planted in and forcing the likes of Yucca Nadir to constantly look in those mirrors, seeing where he can go. Voda into the pits. Now trying to get that little bit more of a jump as Nadir and Whitman looking to carry the momentum through. Bago Krobler all over the back of Henny Portita as it stands second place in the Pro-Am division. Suddenly as the Team Wolf driver slam on round, you can see a little touch of the brakes for Henny Portita just to allow Bago Krobler through. It also cleared him enough that the aero wash doesn't become a factor that he has to deal with as well, and will be able to see it through as well. Ludwig Zetzman loses out to Henry Platt as they continue on the charge. Platt, who's completed all his pit stops and is in the Pro division, cleared the Pro-Am driver and looks to carry his momentum through. Jaco Nadir, Herman Whitman, they are not backing down from one another. Vesawoda leads pit lane in 18. It's still a tremendous drive for every single one of our competitors trying to get that pace in. Kieran Patterson, Alan Patterson, needing to do their first pit stops with 19 minutes to go. Both the Porsche and the Aston Martin stretching the legs as they carry on. Jeffrey LaRue holds on to third place at the moment, is scratching his head 16 seconds away from Alan Patterson. Will be able to go for a pass, but Alan, is he going to get new fresh set of boots on his car when he goes in for the pit stop? And there, unfortunately, Gavin Scruton, the 447 car, going into the weeds. And let's quickly take a look at what happened to him as we jump on board in through the long left-hander. First gear, second gear, bit of a jump through the gears. Not usual to do that. Just was a little bit uncertain, and there's a bit of a clip on the curb, over rotation on the rear, slides around. Oh, just a kiss up against the wall. Nothing too bad there, but a long time before he could get himself going. The team trial driver now trying to figure out where to get some pace underneath it. Kieran Patterson into the pits. Will Allen follow suit into pit lane, or will he opt to go a lap extra with Kieran now in the pits to try and see if he can hold back Jeffrey LaRue, or is it going to be a double stack for the PWSR team as Kieran very quick in and out? A 5.7 second pit stop, a short splash and dash for him. Alan Patterson is going to continue to go that extra lap and a little bit further into this race to try and open the gap to LaRue and to Martin Rotenbach. Jaco Nadir dealing with Herman Webner, change of position. Oh, a little bit of a shoulder tap between the two of them as Nadir and Webner getting a little bit attached to one another. Nadir would have come off a bit worse than the likes of Webner, who still needs to go into pit lane. And Webner, who put his nose forward, got that pass. Unfortunately, not enough room on the circuit at that time for both the Mustang and the Ferrari to have an easy run here at Hungaroring for round 3 of the EG Evolved GT3 Championship here at RaceFace.Pro. And we're up for the race. Keegan Bowen still continuing on their charge. Vessel Loader, Gerald Pretorius going in, booting every little drive that they can to get their way to the front. Keegan Bowen needs to think about the strategies into play here of what can he do to make it work out in his favor. It's going to be trying to dig deep as much as possible. Round for the race, Vessel Loader and Gerald Pretorius going and having a brawl as well. So we've got both the Chromodulis machines going and trying to see where they're going to finish up in this race. How far can they get running? Kieran Patterson leads out the pros. Alan Patterson, second of the pros. Jeffrey LaRue, third of the pro division. Martin Rotenbach holds on to the lead of our Pro-Am with Henny Portita currently in second place. Pro-Am and Chris Biermeister holding on to third with Herman Webner trying to close up the gap. Gerald Pretorius all over the back of Vessel Roda as they come down into turn 1. Vessel, who takes a bit of a defensive line in towards the middle and ensures that he can slow up, forces Gerald Pretorius to swing that car out wide, losing out some drive. However, it is going to be Mustang to show what it can do with that straight line that's not quite out of the woodwork as yet. Some monumental racing up and down through the field as it stands, with only 2 retirements. Go and specify 2, as we did have 1 retirement early in the race with the contact, and we did have Daniel de Villiers, who is currently got his car out on the tarmac but is not in the seat of it. Henry Platt gets the pass on Folks Minion, who is going to be dropping down the order, and Henry Platt, who is a pro driver, can pull him a little bit closer to the likes of Jaco Nadir up ahead. Jaco Nadir's got to be well enough aware here that Minion has an opportunity to try and make up some ground. Ludwig Zetzman a little bit further back. 4 seconds adrift out there in the Audi R8. GT3 Evo continues to scream down the circuit, seeing where he can get the right. Joe Pretorius, Vesaloda, Riam van der Race, and Keegan Bowen all fighting out in their respective. They will see the leaders starting to cut their way through, like Kieran Patterson at the moment. 14 minutes to go. It is going to be a big look on the inside for Van der Race. He second-guessed it. Keegan Bowen going to hold his line. He took that swing for the inside line. Can he make it stick? He sweeps across the nose. He does force Keegan Bowen to come off that throttle and retakes the position. Jaco Nadir loses out to likes of Henry Platt, who clears on by and now has Folks Minion all over the back of him. These two are going to be reacting to one another on their final pit stop of the race. For Jaco Nadir, he is a little bit further down from where he wanted to be early on in this race, and will be trying to figure out, sorry, Jaco Nadir has completed his pit stop, so he's not going to be going back into the pits. And he is the first of the Pro-Ams that has done all their pit stops. Henny Porchita goes and calls me a lie on that one. He dives into the pits to try and get his pit stop done and dusted. Is Chris Beermister going to follow suit? No, he's going to go that extra lap. 13 minutes to go. Going to be cutting it rather fine for the Pandacity. Ferrari 296. Herman Wepner is also going to do exactly the same. So, interesting enough, our top 3 in both divisions going to go that little bit further into the race. They're going to look at a very, very late stop and see if that's going to help him out in this race. How to move their way forward. Folks Minion into pit lane as well. Will be dropping down the order, but still put in a tremendous fight. Joe Pretorius not able to clear Vessel Loader at the moment as they continue on the drive. Kieran Patterson into the pits, well enough away from Alan Patterson at the moment, who has got Jeffrey LaRue 11 seconds back from him. Alan Patterson needs to get his double stop done. He's not going to do it this lap. This is an interesting call for Alan to go that little bit further. He will clear Kieran Patterson and will be now going and taking over the lead of the race. And what an interesting move coming into play for the likes of Alan Patterson. And a double stop at the end. We've seen him get hurt by it last time out. Kieran Patterson leaves pit lane. Another very short stop. 5.5 on that pit stop, which means he is still on the same set of boots that he started in this race. However, Christoph Peterson, who would be chasing him down, has got a change of tires. He's on his second set now. Jeffrey LaRue, after his first pit stop, changed tires. He's still going out there. Martin Rotenbach on his first pit stop has changed tires as well. So Kieran's taken the gamble to try and not lose time. Herman Wepner into pit lane, trying to get himself sorted out. As we take a look at Henny Porchita, he does have Keegan Bowen launch around him and suddenly outbrakes himself. And immediately Porchita's going to battle back. Ooh, contact between Bowen and Porchita, both going round. Not ideal circumstances for both drivers. They're able to get going. Lightest of knocks against the doors and the side pods, but definitely some words being said under both helmets after that one. Herman went there in the pits, loses out to Joe McComb. Round for the race is going to clear him as well as they continue on the drive. Ludwig Zetzman is the last of our runners that needs to get into the pits. Chris Beermister needs to still get into pit lane. Martin Rotenbach, who is leading out the Pro-Am division, needs to get into the pits and stay clear of Herman Wipner, who has already done his final stop of the race. Jeffrey LaRue needs to get his final pit stop done, and Alan Patterson still needs to get not one but 2 pit stops done in the last 10 minutes and 50 seconds. This is a very interesting call, and can he make it work out in his favor? As Kieran Patterson suddenly looks at his mirror, sees that Jeffrey LaRue is right in there for the chase down, and Jeffrey LaRue has got it between his teeth right now to go and push that a little bit harder to see if he can clear Kieran Patterson before he needs to dive into the pit lane. He wants to stay enough place ahead of Christoph Peterson, who's 3.7 seconds back off Martin Rotenbach, who sits 2.7 seconds adrift from both of our fighting second and third place as it stands. The drivers trying to figure out that extra edge to go that extra mile to see where they get it to the end. LaRue in third place, not wanting to lose out the drive, wanting to score some good points in the championship. Keeps an eye on Kieran Patterson, because soon as Alan pulls in, he will be holding the lead of the race. But can he keep up that momentum for the next 9 minutes? Chris Biermeister into pit lane, gets his pit stop done and dusted, loses out to Ludwig Zitzman, loses out to Jared Bukum, and loses out to Rian van der Reist as he moves down to 13th position and out of our top 3 running at the moment. Martin Rotenbach onto the back of Chris Heineke will be saying, come on buddy, you gotta go, give me a bit of room here. I need to consider to get a little bit more pace to get my final stop to possibly stay ahead of Jaco Nadir, who holds on to 9th overall and is currently 2nd in the Pro-Am class. Ludwig Zitzman needing to do his final stop of the race. So 4 cars currently out on track that need to get at least a pit stop done and dusted. The only driver that needs to get 2 pit stops done is Alan, who has decided to go that little bit further into the race and is now just trying to tuck and dive. He's got Anton Lummers keeping company, and Anton Lummers is not losing time. Anton Lummers is keeping right in the mix there. He is a blue flag car, but is not giving up the fight. 4th position, however, Henny Porchita and Keegan Bowen continue to fight it out between one another as they brawl their way on, trying to figure out what is going to be the game plan here. How far are they willing to go in this race? How far can they dig deep to ensure they go for a victory here tonight? And for the likes of Porchita, who is in line for a 3rd place in the Pro-Am class, he's got to take a look at Rian van der Reist at the moment, who is in charge, trying to see where he can go. Up on the inside of Jared Bukum. Jared does not fight back too hard and swings it back through. Will carry a lot of momentum on the inside of the Mercedes. However, chooses to lift that little bit, allow Rian van der Reist to clear on by and continue on the drive as Porchita loses out to Keegan Bowen under braking into turn 1. That has allowed Chris Biermeister to get back into the fray. And now Chris is fighting for class position against Henny Porchita. Racing Snails up against the Pandacity team. Trying to see where it all gets going. Alan Patterson holds on with 2 pit stops to go. 7 minutes left in this race. Oof, it's going to be rather tight to get both pit stops done and dusted without losing so much time. And he's taken that ultimate gamble to really do a proper offset on the rest of his competitors. LaRue and Martin Rotenbach will be starting to also consider their final pit stop to get done and dusted, as Christoph Peterson now a 2nd adrift from Martin Rotenbach will look to try and get on by Vesselwoda. Unfortunately, with drive-through penalty for track limit succeeded, and that is going to be a gut-wrenching blow for him. Sees Lorero clear him, and now will have to go into the pits to serve that drive-through, get it out the way, and continue on the race. That little bit going over here, costing him a huge amount of time. Went onto the back of Gerard Pretorius as they focus on the charge. Now, back up to our front fight. This is 5th and 4th going at one another. Martin Rotenbach currently leading out the Pro-Am division will have Christoph Peterson nailing it onto the back of him, looking for the inside line, not able to get on by just as yet, waiting for his opportunity to try and clear, but he wants to do it as fast as possible as Alan Patterson has just pulled into pit lane. Means Kieran's going to retake the lead of the race, and now Jeffrey LaRue into the box. So Christoph really hemorrhaging time at the moment against the likes of Martin Rotenbach. Looks to try and swap around. Rotenbach goes to the inside line, allows Peterson to take the ideal racing line, and it does show to get that pass. And now 3.4 seconds remain between Patterson and Peterson as they go after one another. Don't say that too fast, you're going to get caught out as Kieran Patterson sees the racing sails and Jackie Albert's ahead of him. He showed a quick flash of light saying, come on buddy, you're going to need to get up and go, and please mind out the way, as I've got an absolute raging German 3 seconds back on me and looking to try and close that distance quicker and quicker. What it would be for a victory here for him. LaRue exiting pit lane in 6th place, getting beaten out by Jess Farmer and Bago Kubla at the moment. Martin Rotenbach, who is holding on to 3rd, still needs to get his stop done. Dustin Alan Patterson gets his stop done, and now he's got one more to go. He's dropped all the way into 8th, and he will be falling out of the top 10 on his final stop. Sees Jaco Nadia in his mirrors. Peterson closing down, 4 minutes to go. This is going to be close for the PWSR car and the logistical nightmare racing machine. Henny Porskita dealing with Chris Beermister at the moment as they try to get that little bit more of a chase between one another. Interesting drive to be had. Ludwig Zitzman needs to do his final pit stop. Will lose out that top spot to the likes of Rian van der Raced. And Rian will be more than happy as Martin Rotenbach into the pits. Has he opened up enough distance to Jaco Nadia in 9th as it stands? 2.4 seconds between Peterson and Patterson as Jackie Alberts moves out the way, and now has Christoph Peterson trying to close up that gap. Bago Frobler for Team Wolf takes over 3rd in the race, 3rd overall, catches up to Benjamin Till, and we'll be giving some reports of Benjamin. Buddy, please, pal, amigo, please mind out the way. Jason Farmer's not too far off my gearbox at the moment, and I don't want to lose out that time. And we have got Fultz Minion, who will be seeing Christoph Peterson going for the lunge up on the inside. Gets that pass done. Jackie Alberts is going to try and capitalize as he makes his way around Fultz Minion. And now the charge goes on. 43 laps, 2.3 seconds separate 1st and 2nd. PWSR, logistical nightmare racing for 1st and 2nd. It is Martin Rotenbach who leads out for the Conquest Racing in Pro-Am. Jaco Nadia for the Jax KSR team in 2nd place. Rian van der Raced taking over 3rd for the Krabandulis Racing, looking to put himself on the top spot. And we'll keep an eye on the times. Last lap time for Kieran Patterson, a 1:44.327 to Peterson, 1:43.250. It's going to be a little bit different now as he had to clear the traffic. 1.8 seconds. Stop go 30-second for Alan Patterson for going off the pit limiter too early. It would have been a top 10. It would have been a top 10, but he got off the button too early. He cost himself some time there, as we do see Ludwig Zitzman holds the inside line for the Team Tryhard. And now has Christoph trying to clear him. He lost out some serious drive through the corner. Kieran looking in his mirrors, going, okay, 2.3, 2.4, I got to do this. I got to make it work. Last lap time, Christoph, a 1:43.7. Kieran, a 1:44.2. That is the lap times between them. Christoph is quicker, but has he got enough pace to catch up to a very consistent pace of Kieran Patterson, who set his personal fastest lap in this race of their 1:44.295, and looking to stay ahead at the moment. 1.8 seconds separates them. 1 minute to go in this race and there is back markers that are going to play a crucial factor in the race for both Kieran and Christoph as they look to fight their way through. This is going to be an absolute hard drive on both parts. Christoph, you can see just out that front mirror, sees the likes of Kieran 1.6 seconds ahead. They will see the back end of Anton Lummers, the Treehouse Works Racing McLaren, who is just right ahead of Kieran Patterson. Under braking, trying to make it work out in his favor. Henny Porthita fighting out against Chris Biermester as well as they fight. And there we go. Final lap. Vessel Woda with a drive-through penalty, unfortunately. And 1.3 seconds separate. 1 lap to go. PWSR, LNR fighting each other out. It is Kieran, the defending. He is a former champion here in RaceFace.Pro, up against wanting to get a championship for the first time here in RaceFace.Pro. Christoph Peterson, the South African versus the German, as they battle their way through. A second separates the two of them. On the brakes, a lunge goes for Kieran. He is absolutely giving it his absolute all to try and sink that Porsche deep into the corners to get the drive on the way through. 0.8 of a second. Comms must be going mad as they got to the end of the circuit now. It's only a couple of corners to go. Has Kieran carried enough momentum to make it work out in his favor? Or will Christoph go for those late lunge moves as he looks to try and hunt his way by? Christoph going and giving it absolutely everything he's got, charging his way through. 0.5 of a second. Kieran's going to have to get elbows out. Chris Haneke with the drive-through. Vessel Loader with the drive-through. But it is 0.3 of a second for first place in the Pro. It's 0.3 of a second. Christoph had pedal problems earlier. Has he got that last run into the final corner? He goes for the lunge. He can't get the drive. He loses it. And Kieran Patterson with 0.2 of a second gets across the line ahead of Christoph Peterson. What a charge! What a run! Third place is going to go to Bego Frobler as he kept it all together. Martin Rotenbach will take the victory in the Pro-Am. And man, oh man, what a race. Chris Biermester and Gerald Pretorius had a little bit of a coming together. And now it's Henny Porthita and Chris Biermester right to the end for 13th and 12th position. But it's going to be Jaco Nadir ahead of Rian van der Reist, who will take the top 3 of our Pro-Am division. 0.3 of a second, final time to it. And Christoph Peterson with a blistering last lap time of 1:43.9 to Kieran Patterson's 1:44.7, just could not close that gap enough. He had problems early on in the race, and that went and absolutely put to bed his chance of a dominating victory. But what a run all the way through to the very, very end of the race. But our top 3 of the program, Martin Rotsbach, Jaco Nadir, Rian van der Reist, will be quite happy on their drive. Wentner trying to get past Chris Biermester. Not going to have an easy time out there. Henny Porthita going to say thank you very much. I'm capturing 4th place in the class. You will have to fight it out for 5th and 6th. As our Ferraris follow in tow. Sean Lerero finishes out the order. Christian Zetman finishes. Jackie Alberts finishes. And our drivers walking away as heroes and as champions. Man, oh man, every time I think this championship cannot give any more. We had a tie coming into this round between Bego Krobler and Daniel de Villiers, and it just looked like it all went topsy-turvy for the drivers right the way through, and 0.3 of a second separated first place at the end for overall and class victory in the Pro. And Martin Rotenbach taking the victory in the Pro-Am division ahead of the rest of the pack after a late gamble on his pit stop. Man, oh man, what a wild, wild drive, folks. What on earth did we just witness here at RaceFace.Pro for some incredible, incredible racing for round 3 of our EG Evolved GT3 Championship. And many people will be going absolutely ballistic on that one. And while we're allowing our drivers just to come through, to come and have a chat to us, to put down their helmets, take off the gloves, and really go and take a breath of fresh air. Oh, man. What a race indeed. So, looks like we have got our first place overall driver to come in to have a chat to us. And let's bring him in here. Kieran Patterson of PWSR. Man, oh man, it's been a while since we've seen you fight like that. But 0.3 of a second at the end to take the overall victory in the Pro Division. How are you feeling on that close finish?
Bloody ecstatic, Stephen. Bloody ecstatic. Oh, did not expect to win this race at all. Daniel, unfortunately, had some bad luck with on his side of things, and I guess the dice just rolled my way. Thank goodness. Oh.
Well, Kieran, it has been years since we've seen you fight for a podium, nose to tail, and to finish within 0.3 of a second. And when I'm talking about years, I'm going back a good 4 years in the likes of this. How was that last lap? Knowing Christoph was putting in those lap times. He was hunting you down. And when it came down to the last 3 corners, what was running through your head at that moment?
It started after the last pit stop. I thought, no, just quali laps, Formula One mode, hammer time, whatever you want to call it. John Deere's little push. I just had head down and Daniel helping, telling me what the gap was and how many cars were in the way and so on and so forth. And I just thought, as long as I can go as low as 44s as possible and hopefully he gets some traffic in the way, yeah, it'll come down to the wire, and it did. So yeah, still shaking with adrenaline. This is a fun car to drive. I wanted a challenge, so can't ask for anything worse than a Porsche, to be honest. But yeah, stoked, absolutely stoked.
You bowled for 6s, and what a drive it was, and absolutely taking a good haul of points. And no one can say that you got that handed to you. There was no way anyone could say that, because you had to fight out. Before I let you go to enjoy the celebration on your victory in the Pro Division and overall, with the closest finish we've seen this entire season thus far, anything you want to say to the admin, to our amazing sponsors here at RaceFace.Pro, to the teams and drivers, to your team as well, and most importantly, to the petrol heads out there in the virtual grandstand?
Yeah, thank you to RaceFace and all our sponsors for sponsoring this season. I know EG Evolved is the main one. I'm not too sure on all the rest, to be honest, but thank you very much. Thanks to all the supporters watching. Personal shout outs to Lisa, Shane. I know they're watching. A shout out to teammates Alan and Daniel, and a big shout out to Darren. He's not racing with us this week. He's got some personal things going on. So, yeah, big love to him. And to everyone that supported and all the drivers and watched the race, thank you so much. And we'll see you next week.
Well, Darren hasn't left the side there, and I think he is absolutely ecstatic. Kieran Patterson taking the victory here in the Pro Division, and what a victory it was. Let's bring in Christoph Peterson, who came in second place. Christoph, welcome to the commentary box, and wow, talk about a roller coaster of a race for you. Let's start with the start of the race, landing up with likes of Daniel de Villiers utilizing the straight line of that twin turbo Nissan GTR to go against your twin turbo 4-cylinder of a Honda at the start of the race. How was it being in that bunch and really concentrating to see where you can make up the momentum in the early stages of this race?
6, I think, but yeah, I think that the pattern throughout the whole race was that I just wasn't focused. I don't know what it was today, but for some reason I just decided to not defend against him into the long left-hander, which would have been so easy, but I don't know, I just stayed on the racing line for some dumb reason, and then, I don't know, Did you see what happened to me mid-race? Did you catch that?
That's where we want to be the next question to ask, because there was a little bit of a debate happening here in the commentary box of, were you jammed in gear? Because we saw you in 5th, we saw you into 6th, but you weren't coming down the gears, and then we could see you coming down the gears, but the revs weren't going up, so it was assumed that the throttle was giving a bit of an issue. What actually happened during that portion that went and threw you from 5th to 10th, right in the crucial end stages of the race?
Did that to myself. I was distracted and not focused, just like at the third corner at the race start. So I just missed my pits and had to do one lap on 1.5 liters. So I went to map 8 and stayed in 5th gear, let everyone through that just came there, and hoped that I would make it, and came over the pit line with like 0.1 liters. And then when I came out of the pits, Jason could overtake me so easily momentarily because I stayed in map 8 instead of putting it back to map 4 where I usually drive. So yeah, it was like a complete bottling for me, like in the middle of the race. Yeah, so I think just in the end, Kieran deserved this win way more than me. I think I would have gotten him if it wouldn't have been for that Audi in the second to last lap, but he just did his job way better than me today.
Well, that's for the last of the questions I want to bring up. That fight at the end, we've seen you over the years in racing, fighting it out, and Kieran making his big return to RaceFace here this season. But how was it for you, that final lap, when you hear this is your last lap, push, 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 and to see that you are within 1.8 seconds of first place? What was going through your head for that lap to try and close the distance, to really stand for the fight? Was there just silence in the car, or was there just this mashing of teeth of, come on, make it work, and then suddenly having the back markers there to play with as well, changing and developing your race?
Was basically the latter. Like I was pushing hard since the second pit stop, where I knew, okay, the gap is 7 seconds. There's a slight chance I get him in the last lap. I just pushed in every lap. I even got my third cut like 2 laps before the end, so I sadly couldn't push it that hard anymore. But yeah, then as I said, I think that one blue flag that came out of the pits that stayed side by side for a little bit too long, that kind of took like 7/10 away from me. I think otherwise, with his short tires, maybe I would have gotten him. But you don't know. Like Hungaroring is called the Monaco of the East, I think, and it's really living up to that name.
Well, 0.3 of a second is the closest we have seen this entire season, and it's nothing to scoff about. You really put in that solid effort. Before I let you go to cool down after such a fight, such a race, I mean, from fuel saving, going to map 8, which is your pace car mapping, for anyone that doesn't know. So if you want to save fuel and you're behind a pace car, you switch it to map 8, and you can switch it back to map 1 or 2 to get the most power out of the cars. But anything you would like to say to the admin, the sponsors, the drivers, the teams out on the circuit, but also to the fans that went absolutely ballistic for that final lap, 0.3 of a second, separating first and second place?
I hope I could have. I hope I could give the viewers a little bit of entertainment, and I want to mainly say thank you to all the drivers, everyone I fought with on track. Like everyone kept it clean. Like congrats to Bago for P3, I think what he got in the end. Also very nice fight. He made it a bit easy because he didn't want to lose that much time, but I enjoyed it nevertheless. I think I fought with Alan for a while. That was also really nice. And yeah, of course, congrats to Kieran again for winning. Deserved win, and I hope I can come back next time with a bit less mistakes.
I think that we're going to have a very, very interesting championship indeed. Christoph Peterson, congratulations on your second place in the pro division. And what a race it was. What a race to the end for our logistical nightmare driver. But let's talk about the Team Wolf coming in and howling his way all the way to third. Bego Grobler, congratulations on a really, really good drive all the way through to the end. You were part of the earlier pit stops this time around, a bit of a difference to your driving style, but getting a third place overall and managed to stay ahead of Jason Farmer. How are you feeling after that?
How's it, Stephen? Yeah, thanks. Yeah, it was good. Not a track I'm overly fond of, so happy with the points. And it's such a busy track. Eh? It's like there's never really a chance to relax. So yeah, I'm gonna enjoy a good shower and rest tonight. That's for sure.
Well, let's talk about the pressure coming into this race. You were tied with Daniel de Villiers for that second place. What was your game plan to get the jump on the rest of the field?
Yeah, like I said, not a track I'm overly fond of, and I was really struggling with the middle sector. So I was losing about half a second to Christoph. I was watching him in the practice servers, and I was losing about half a second to him in the middle sector. So I had a feeling that it would almost be like a damage limitation race for me. But with Jason Farmer getting, I think he was P4 in the championship, and then with him not being able to quali, so that took a bit of the pressure off. And then I also knew from M&R that Daniel is really fast here. So I was quite surprised when we were going into the last minute of quali and I was still ahead of him in quali, but he pipped me in the end. But yeah, I think I made some decent gains throughout quali and managed to do a 42, which I haven't been able to do all week. So yeah, and then as for the race, I think that was kind of tough because Kieran, I just couldn't pass Kieran. That Porsche is so good out of the corners, and that's probably the one place where the Aston is not good. So I just could not get a run on him to get a pass done. And we were doing sort of 44 dead, 44 low, I think. Me and him, and I knew I could do 43 mids. But I just couldn't get past him. So I had to risk it. I thought, well, I have to try something different, and that's why I went for the early stop.
Well, it was still wonderful to see you out there. What's the game plan heading into round 5? As we're going to be shifting away from the Titan Twisties, and we're going to be heading out to Barcelona, which has a little bit more straight line speed to it. What's your game plan heading into, round 4 of the championship at Barcelona next week?
Yeah, round 4. Look, the Nissan will be good there again. I'm sure of it. Like you say, a bit faster track, so that'll suit the Nissan, I think. But it is one of my personal favorites, so I tend to go well there. I think the last time we raced there, I won. So yeah, I'm looking forward. I think we'll see what the temps are going to be like, but obviously, the longer you can keep that front left alive at Barcelona, the better you'll do. So that'll sort of be the plan. Is just to try and look after the tires and yeah, just take it from there.
Absolutely wonderful, wonderful stuff. Before I let you go to enjoy the celebrations and opening up some room between yourself and Daniel de Villiers in the championship for second place, anything you want to say to all the admins, to our amazing sponsors joining us for the season, our title sponsor, EG Evolved Simulator Rigs, but also to the drivers, the competitors, the teams, and most importantly, the fans that were on the edge of their seats throughout this entire race around Hungaroring.
Yeah, huge thanks, obviously, to all the admins and everybody involved. A lot of the guys are behind the scenes and don't get a lot of public recognition, if I can put it that way. But yeah, just a huge hats off to everybody that's involved, not only in this league, but all the other leagues as well. It really can be what's the word, a thankless job at times, but yeah, huge thanks to everybody. And to the sponsors, I think I say this every week, but you guys are freaking amazing, and thank you so much for supporting this sport that we love, and it's our passion, and enabling us to do it at such a high level. And then to the fans, yeah, just again, what a race. I think I'm going to go watch the stream now, but I think it was a good one, especially I gather it was pretty close between Kieran and Christoph at the end there. So Yeah, I hope you guys are enjoying the season so far, and stay tuned. It's only going to get better. And then, yeah, just a personal shout out to Mr. De Villiers there, unlucky. I know he also likes Barcelona, so I hope we can. We've been sort of threatening to have a big fight the whole season so far, so I hope we get to have that fight at Barcelona.
Well, fingers crossed that we get to see you have that fight coming through. But congratulations once again on a stellar third place here tonight in our Pro Division. Tobago Krobler, our Team Wolf driver. That being said, unfortunately, we haven't got our Pro-Am to come and have a chat to us, but we want to just take some time to acknowledge them. Martin Rotenbach taking the victory here tonight in our Pro-Am division, followed by Jaco Nodia in second place in that Mustang, and Rian van der Reist taking third place in his Kramadoulis Mercedes, finishing up 9th overall. Jaco Nodia 8th overall, and Martin Rotenbach finishing top 5 and first in his class. A stellar run from all our drivers. Great to see some interesting racing and the championship coming alive here at RaceFace.Pro for round 3. Now we say goodbye to Hungaroring. We look forward to Barcelona next week for our EG Evolved GT3 Championship powered by RaceFace.Pro. We'd like to say a special thank you to all our competitors and teams racing, not only here in the Pro and Pro-Am, but also in our Gold and Silver. Big shout out to our commentator there, Jacques Eva, Marco Button, for going and chatting and being part of that show. But also, like to say a monster thank you to our title sponsor, EG Evolved, along with our associate sponsors, such as SBR, Rhino Utility, along with the likes of Virtual Motorheads and Simulator Cave, being a part of the show for our GT3 Championship here at RaceFace.Pro. And if you would like to be part of all the action, head over to SimGrid, look up RaceFace.Pro. We have got lots happening here, and there is plenty more heading into the end of the year, with plans of a endurance race on iRacing for charity, which is going to go to animal charity. That's happening out in December. You want to go and keep an eye on that for all you iRacing fans, coming up later this December. Next week, we join back in with our iRacing GT3 Championship on a Tuesday at 8:30. We will then go into our LMU Championship on a Wednesday at 8 o'clock and into our round 4 of our ACC Championship here at RaceFace.Pro, powered by the likes of EG Evolved. That's going to be coming out on Thursday. From myself, Stephen Koenig, and Tim the cameraman, and we cannot forget our beautiful voice that goes on air telling everyone that final lap and race start is Jim for all the hard work that they do in the background. And a special thanks to you, the fans, for being a part of the show and getting us to that absolute mile mark of 1,500 subscribers. And as of 11 minutes past 10 at night here in South Africa on the 13th, sorry, get my dates wrong. Oh, don't do that. 13th of the 11th, 2025, we've officially hit a beautiful mark of 506 subscribers. And if you're not subscribed, make sure you hit that subscribe button, hit the bell notification icon to be alerted for all our racing that is coming through, to see it through to the end for 2025. Lots to come out and to talk about heading into 2026. But for myself, Stephen Koenig, I'd like to say thank you very much, and the THT Productions, for joining us here and being a part of the show. And like always, folks, say it with me: good morning, good afternoon, good evening, and good night, everybody.